Hey there, welcome back to my channel. You're watching part 7 in the video series I prepared in order to be able to present you with the content of that TOK essay I wrote, which is titled Deconstructing the Human Condition. The full text of this essay you can find on my WordPress blog, which is erikvandepoel.wordpress.com. And in this episode I'm going to read to you an extract of chapter 6 of that essay, and this chapter is about the arts. Art was not merely important but patently instrumental in bringing about the medieval European Renaissance with its quantum leaps, like the application of perspective and proportion, light and dark shading, and the use of color in painting, sculpting, architecture, poetry, drama, and in the sciences too, of course. The 20th century Swiss psychotherapist and psychiatrist Carl Gustav Jung reputedly once said that the supreme goal of man is to fulfill himself or herself as a creative, unique individual according to his or her own unique potentialities within the confines of reality at large, of course. Artistic creativity as a function of inspiration lends itself to be broken down into its separate building blocks, and in doing so at least 3, and quite possibly more, stages can be identified. The onset of inspiration, which has more than once been described as an intense state of intuitive awareness or sensibility, closely followed by a surge of creative energy, and washing out onto the less or more permissive rock face of the artistic challenge. True artists are oftentimes said to be permanently moving on a higher plane of awareness when regarding the intensity of their perception of reality, as opposed to the occasional flashes of insight bestowed on us mere mortals. Another aspect of the artist as a creative force is the creative impulse, that innately human longing to give expression to these intense artistic emotions. The core of the artistic challenge has been explained by some as the act of matching the emotional experience with the material medium through which these emotions are to be voiced. Eureka! Creative genius as a function of creative inspiration in visionary thinkers as diverse in their historical backgrounds as Sun Tzu, Plato, Alexander the Great, who was supposedly an illiterate, Charlemagne, who was supposedly an illiterate too, Niccolo Machiavelli, Leonardo da Vinci, Napoleon Bonaparte, and Albert Einstein, is nowadays often regarded as bordering on the divine in various specialist circles within our human species. But it would seem that when squeezed hard enough, military genius, political genius, scientific genius, and traditional artistic genius are multiple sides of the same coin in a multiplex of universes. Given the nature of intuition as an oft underrated but monumentally significant precondition for inspired insights. In what ways, then, do the creative arts stand out from other areas of knowledge, such as mathematics or the sciences? In other words, what madly deranged genius makes high art with a capital H and a capital A? An oft suggested quality to set art apart as a separate area of knowledge compared to other disciplines is that the creative arts are essentially a way of expressing emotion, and that they are specifically and purposely applied with the intention to produce an aesthetic response in the observer. On that note, it does not take a rocket scientist to empirically establish that many works of art, in fact, are steeped in emotion, and that they do indeed evoke some sort of emotional reaction in the beholder. Bouncing back from that one, you are about to be seamlessly nudged into musing about the issue of intrinsic or objective aesthetic appeal. In layman's terms, does the quality of a given work of art primarily depend on your less or more informed response to it, or does it pull its own weight in magnificent isolation? To further compound this puzzle, consider the potency of context as a most covertly coercive influence on the pliability of spectator support. High art, in whatever form, is, roughly speaking, since the late Italian Renaissance, again of the Christian calendar, habitually put on display and promoted in mostly enclosed spaces in dedicated structures of a certain stature aimed at generating profit. That is, less or more permanent buildings colloquially known as museums and theatres. Art collectors, critics and connoisseurs collectively generate and support an economical raison d'être for high art. To stir the imagination and artificially further enhance profitability, market values assigned to auctionable items of high art in private and public collections are routinely shrouded in more mystifying layers of speculation than an otherwise level-headed and well-rounded sense of economic proportion would require. Could it conceivably follow from these perfectly legal, if not necessarily honorable exploits, that the reputation of a work of art is generously inflated by, and its perceived quality in the public eye derived directly from this trade commodity context too? Consider, if you will, the following scenario as an intriguing aside. A brilliantly gifted contemporary, or historically famous, as in already long dead, craftsperson/artist intentionally duplicates a well-known and presently ridiculously expensive work of high art. Whether the artist did or does this either as a self-indulgent pastime or by way of a commissioned piece for a wealthy patron is narratively inconsequential. The duplicate is perfect to the point where it becomes indistinguishable from the original in all its aspects. Does this copy then also qualify as ridiculously expensive high art? Rephrasing that question, I would ask you to decide what exactly the differences is/are between an original masterpiece of high art, a presumably harmless tributary pastiche, and a masterfully executed but manifestly malignant forgery, other than the time that lapsed between one and the other coming into existence, and its economic appeal, and why these differences matter, and to whom. So that's a section of Chapter 6 about the arts in my TOK essay. Again, you can find the full text on my WordPress blog, erikvandepoel.wordpress.com. I hope you enjoyed this. If you did, please like and subscribe to my channel. If you have questions or comments, please leave them in the comment section. For now, thank you for watching. I hope I will see you again soon. My name is Erik van de Poel. Bye bye.